Shramik was started as a workers' cooperative. Now, what do we mean by a workers' cooperative? It was started as a workers' cooperative in the sense that to bring together people who are involved in the building trade. There is a specific history to it, which you have spoken to Murugesh, and that's the place. Kadir Sharif Garden Slum is where we started this whole thing. Initially, we started as a kind of uh, placement center, trying to get jobs for people in this particular slum, because that is where we were working from the center. So the one thing led to another. But the first initiative was to get people informal jobs, and that was the time when it was in the late 1980s, 87, 88, around that time, where many of these public sector companies were beginning to take outsource, the low-end jobs like office boys, cooks, cleaners, things like that. So we started it very informally, trying to find jobs for people, and so that sort of grew. So we got quite a number of lucrative contracts, if I can say so, and that really became big. It grew, and it became also a a kind of business which was impossible for me to handle, and along with me few others who were in the center who were working with me, it became impossible for us to handle, because every morning, like, you have to get up and you get a phone call, somebody has not appeared to work, so you have to run there and you get kicked for that. So what we did was we gave it over to another NGO in Bangalore, so who took it over, and they are running it quite successfully now. And meanwhile, I met up with some people from Kerala who were working with Lorry Baker, and that was the time when we were running a campaign on housing rights called National Campaign for Housing Rights. So the center was involved in this. It was part of our work. We were thinking of what is the meaning of housing, and what is the meaning of housing rights, and so on. So it started that way. First as a kind of intervention in these informal sector jobs, and then as a kind of a building cooperative itself. When I say building cooperative, it is not a cooperative of people who own homes, but a cooperative of people who are building these homes. And much of the labor initially we drew from Sharif Garden, that's from where we were working. Then we moved on. From there we have come a long way. The history is not so important of where it came from, how it happened, and all that. What is more important is the kind of meaning that we have tried to give to the meaning of housing itself. It was during this national campaign for housing rights which made me think that, how can anybody who doesn't even know how to build a house talk about housing rights, for instance. So that was the basic question which confronted me. You don't even know the basics of what is building a house, but you can talk about housing rights. To put it in a nutshell, it was simply this, that we don't even know how to build a house. Then what are we talking about housing rights for? That is what prompted me to start this, and that is when we started taking up. When we started it, I didn't even know the difference between mud and sand, between stone and mud. Nothing, absolutely nothing. We just jumped into it, got a couple of projects, made mistakes, but worked with a lot of sincerity, and then started from there. So this is the story of last almost 15 to 18 years.